What up gamers, Fence here, and in this video I want to share my thoughts on the Ahsoka show. So yeah, I know I'm a bit late to this. I meant to make this video last month in October when the show ended, but I was sick the entire month. So yeah, instead we're doing it way later. But yeah, I've already shared my thoughts on the first 3 episodes in my first impressions video, so instead we'll be talking about episodes 4 to 8 in this video. So spoilers up ahead, you have been warned. So we last left off with Ahsoka's team on the planet called Cetos. Elsbeth's robots were able to find him along with Mirok and Shin, and already Mirok died, and that made me disappointed, but at the same time, I think this was the second instance of a gassy or gaseous Inquisitor. Yeah, Ahsoka fought one of them in Tales of the Jedi, and I do wonder if those two Inquisitors are related somehow, but yeah, just sad to see that Mirok was nothing more than just gas, but I can live with it, at least for now. Hopefully they can explain more about it in the future on maybe these type of Inquisitors or maybe why they're gaseous. But anyways, with Marok out of the way, Ahsoka is able to reach the map guarded by Balin, and so far I would say all the fights have been really good. I like how there's a balance between slow moments and fast moments, though I will say, after watching all the episodes, I do wish the fast moments were faster, and I guess that's because I'm just used to the prequels and I guess the Clone Wars show where every lightsaber battle was so fast. But yeah, that's just, my opinion. But unfortunately, Ahsoka lost to Balin and got thrown off a cliff, and they captured Sabine. But Ahsoka didn't die. Somehow, it looks like she was transported to the world between worlds, and for some reason, Anakin is there. I guess he's just that powerful to, appear there. But yeah, I got really excited when I saw the subtitles saying, "Hello, Snips." So yeah, this is Anakin's introduction to the show as teased in the commercials. And we really get into his character into the next episode, which kind of felt like a whole movie. One part of it was with Anakin finishing Ahsoka's training to live or die, and he brought her back to the Clone Wars, and I guess a flashback, and that did get me teary-eyed because I love the Clone Wars show, and yeah, it's just like one of my favorite animated shows of all time, I would say. And to see live-action Clone Wars versions of Anakin and Ahsoka, yeah, that was such a sight to see. Even like just seeing live-action Rex and the Mandalorians from the Siege of Mandalore. But yeah, it was a really cool thing to see, man. There was a lot of lightsaber fighting between Ahsoka and Anakin at the beginning and at the end. Even Anakin flashing in a appropriate way, not in a appropriate way, no. But yeah, he was flashing as Vader a few times and going Sith eyes at the end, which looked so cool, man. But yeah, Ahsoka chose to live, and that was good enough for Anakin, and he just disappears, completing her training. And so Ahsoka returned to the surface as Ahsoka the White, because, yeah, that's in reference to Gandalf the White, from what I've heard, where you know how Gandalf the Grey was in gray robes, kind of like what Ahsoka wore at the beginning, where she's got these greater, darker robes. But yeah, when she returned to the surface, now she's wearing what she wore at the end of Rebels, which is the white cloak. And yeah, she does look really good in comparison to the gray one, I would say. And it was all thanks to Jason for hearing their lightsaber duel. And it makes me sad hearing that Hu Yang wasn't going to train him. I guess, for now he's just going to be a force sensitive, but yeah, I would love to see just to see Kanan's son be a Jedi, because his dad was. But yeah, the name Ahsoka the White is just a comparison to Gandalf the Grey and then the White. I just want to see that because it's not like an official name for her. But yeah, then we see Ahsoka also use a new Force ability where she can interact with an object and see how it was used in the past, like the one that Cal Kestis can do in the games, and also another Jedi that appeared in the Clone Wars show. I forgot his name, but yeah, he could do it as well. I think his name was also mentioned in the Kenobi show. But yeah, also we saw her communicate with a giant Purgle, those hyperdrive space whales. And yeah, using it to hopefully travel to where Ezra and Sabine are, and yeah, that's a lot of trust you're putting into a whale that, you don't know if they're gonna exactly go where you want to go. So yeah, I guess, in general, since she became Ahsoka the White, it gave her new Force powers and maybe is at least better at the Force than before. And yeah, this whole scene with the Purgle, again, it just felt very cinematic. And yeah, like I said, it just felt like a movie. And I think it ended on a very happy note, very slow and very happy. So yeah, this episode was awesome. I love Anakin, love Ahsoka, I love the flashbacks especially. And yeah, man, this is probably my favorite episode so far. And it does make me want, like, I want to see Anakin and Ahsoka, like the live action versions, and have them do like their own show. That would be like really awesome to do. I thought the one that played young Ahsoka really killed it in that role. Also, it did make me realize just like how young Ahsoka was when she defeated Maul. I guess, just with her voice just being more lighter here compared to like the Clone Wars show, like at the end of the pretty much like the last season in the last 4 episodes. But yeah, that was something that, I just, thought about when I heard her voice. But yeah, the next episode we have is Elsbeth entering Peridia, the home planet of the Night Sisters, and apparently where Thrawn and Ezra might be. The planet itself is really cool because not only is it a Night Sister planet, but also it's where the Purgles go to die. Even the Night Sisters rode on them apparently. And you can even see the bones of the Purgle act as the planet's ring. Even on the surface of the planet, it has this very dark, gothic fantasy vibe to it. And I'm saying all of this because it's really interesting planet in my opinion. Yeah, it's just really interesting because it has, I guess, a lot of history behind the planet, just, taking this all in. But back to the story, we met some more Night Sisters, and then we see Thrawn in his grand entrance in his ship, his army, both the ship and the army looking zombified. And I'm guessing that's what they're going for. I do wonder who are under the Stormtrooper armor. Are they like actual zombies or are there like other humanoids on that planet? Because yeah, they do look kind of zombified already, and then we do see later on they do turn into zombies. So I do wonder what's the deal with that. But as for Thrawn himself, I mean, he is the same actor from the Rebel show, so to me, he does feel like he just stepped out of the cartoon, kind of like what they did with Bo-Katan, but I would say that, maybe his clothing looks a bit looser or expanded, I don't know. It just doesn't look fitted, but to me, for the most part, it did feel like Thrawn. But yeah, Thrawn, man, so far I like him, and I really want to see what he's up to once he returns. He was mentioned in The Mandalorian, and now we're closer to see what's up. But also with Thrawn here, he was also just polite to Sabine and just letting her go look for Ezra, as it was Balin's promise. So yeah, Sabine was looking for Ezra. She fought pretty much like Peridia's version of the Tusken Raiders, and then she meets their version of the Jawas. But yeah, pretty much Peridia, I would say they have parallels to like the Tusken Raiders and Jawas from Tatooine. And then finally, we see live action Ezra, and he's pretty much what I thought he would look like in live action, though I didn't realize his eyes looked really blue. I had to look into like the Rebels version and then the live action version. But yeah, I didn't even realize that. I guess it's just something that I didn't think about, especially when I didn't expect him to have blue hair like in Rebels. But yeah, also with Balin and Shin, they were ordered to kill them once she finds Ezra, so Thrawn was being polite for a reason. But also, what is really cool is that we get to learn more about Balin's past. He was a general, which sounds so cool for him. General Balin. It just has a nice ring to it for me. But yeah, also, it does look like he wants to make his own order in Peridia because he senses a great power in that planet that he can use. So we'll see about that. later on. Now, going into the second to last episode, C3PO appears, and yeah, I didn't really expect him to show up. Basically, he had evidence that Hera's mission is legit, and Senator Ziono was all pissed and stuff, but yeah. With that in mind, though, it still feels weird that the Senator is related to another Star Wars character that I know, or at least might be related, I'm not too sure, and that is Kazuda Ziono, because their roles feel very reverse. I guess I just don't know much about the Ziono family. Then, when Ahsoka arrives in Peridia, one part of Thrawn's team chases her, another chases down Sabine and Ezra, led by Balin and Shin. But at this point, Balin parts ways with Shin for differing goals, I guess. But yeah, as the chase scene happens, I like how Thrawn is very calm, tactical, and resourceful with his commands. He sets traps for the Purgles, and then has the Night Sisters locate Ahsoka in the ring, then sends only two aircrafts to deal with Sabine and Ezra. Even though he lost the fight, he said that he saved himself some time, which I like hearing from him. I like that even though he lost the fight, he looks at the bright side and moves on to the next step. Because yeah, he's just very calm and very focused like that. I guess like I just feel like he would lose at chess with him. But in the end, Ezra, Sabine, and Ahsoka reunite, and one cool scene that I liked it was Ezra learning all the events that happened in the original trilogy and the formation of the New Republic, and now I really want him to go back home to Lothal and just meet Mr. Krabs again. But yeah, now finally going into the last episode here, it is a race against time. First, Elsbeth gets promoted and gains the Blade of Talzin, which I'm guessing is the same sword that Mother Talzin of the Dathomir Night Sister uses. And not only is she getting a new weapon, but also Ezra is constructing a new lightsaber for himself, which felt weird at first because in the previous episodes, Bean tried to give him his old lightsaber and he declined, saying that the Force is all he needs, and he said it with I feel like with great confidence. And to me, it just, with that in mind, it doesn't make sense that he would build a lightsaber. But I also thought about a justification where he wants to build a lightsaber since he's going up against Thrawn, and yeah, the situation is just that serious. And like I said, it is a race against time, and even though that's the case, they were actually going really slow so that the Peridian Jawas could keep up. So I guess, yeah, maybe it's not that urgent. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep on calling them Peridian Jawas because, I just feel like there's a lot of parallels, like I said, to Tatooine. But regardless of their speed, Thrawn attacks them and their ship got down, which at first, I just realized that it's not the Ghost. I think I called it the Ghost in the first impressions video, but yeah, it's not the Ghost. But yeah, because of that, they continued on their mounts instead and made it inside the Night Sisters Tower, where they then slaughtered Thrawn's Night Troopers, which I learned that they were called at this point. And yeah, that wasn't it though. Like, even though they slaughtered them, they actually resurrected as zombies due to the other Night Sisters, and I thought this was really cool. I like zombies. I like, back in the day, I used to watch a lot of The Walking Dead and stuff, and so yeah, I like this a lot. It also reminds me of Jedi Fallen Order, where you have to escape Dathomir from those running zombies. But yeah, this time though, they're slower, but also very tanky because of their armor, I guess, and can shoot back as well, which is terrifying. So yeah, maybe more advanced than Marion's magic back in Fallen Order. Overall, I like this idea. I always thought the whole planet felt very like dead, and this really helps with that. And even the sounds they make were awesome. But at some point, they reach Elsbeth and Ahsoka fights her, making Ezra and Sabine move forward, where they fought two elite night troopers. And at one point, Sabine used the Force for the first time, and yeah, that was really shocking. I'm still not a fan of Sabine having the Force, at least, not having like a really powerful, I guess, powers with it. But I think this was acceptable because, they at least have some progression with it, and it's also pretty small too, just like getting the lightsaber with her force. But yeah, one thing I'm not really a fan of though is like when she used the force to have Ezra do a double jump. I feel like that was a bit too much because I feel like that required a lot more effort in a small amount of time that she first used it. Anyway, Sabine and Ahsoka stay behind to finish off Elsbeth, where she died, and they got into the ship to chase after Thrawn's ship, only for him to hyperspace minutes later. Which means that yeah, Ezra did too because he got on that ship. And then he assumes the disguise of one of the night troopers, which I find very much in character. Like it's very typical Ezra, and I love that. Then he was able to reunite with Hera and Chopper, though I wish he met Jason just for him to see that a part of Kanan is still alive. That would have been a very cool moment. Then Hati looks to be the leader of Peridia's Tusken Raiders, and Balin was traveling and stopped on a statue of what looks to be the father of the Mortis gods, along with the son next to it. I'm not sure what happened to the daughter though. Like it looks like it got destroyed. Like looking on the father's right side. But yeah, finally though, we get to finish things off with Ahsoka to Sabine, where it feels like the ending of Return of the Jedi, where Ahsoka looks out into the distance at the night and sees Anakin's Force Ghost. It's been really cool seeing Hayden. Like, we've seen a lot of him so much in this show, and I thought he did a very great job. But yeah, that was the Ahsoka show. My feelings on the whole show so far is that I'm kind of in the middle, even though I would say I've been more, I guess, positive in this review so far than negative. I'm kind of in the middle, but yeah, I would say I do like it more than I dislike it. But I would say that my main and only dislike that I have with the show is still Sabine. Like yeah, still Sabine. Like back in the first impressions video, from her getting stabbed by a lightsaber and surviving it, to using the Force on Ezra to great lengths. I just thought the writing on her was a bit weird. I'm also just not sold on her training to be a Jedi. I think one scene they should add is a flashback to her starting her training and ended off to where Ahsoka didn't want to train her anymore. But yeah, I feel like everything else is at least serviceable. The only thing that I don't like and wasn't a big fan of is Sabine, which is unfortunate because I liked her a lot in Rebels. But I think the thing I like the most about the show is Balin. Even though we don't know his end goal, we can only guess that it has to do with the Mortis gods, since he ended off with that. He'll probably harvest the power that he senses there, and we'll see what he does with it. But yeah, because of this though, I feel like that he's more focused on the magical side of Star Wars, like with how the Jedi and the Sith and the Force are, and I think that's what makes him the best part and character of the show for me. Also, he's just really badass. Finally, yeah, one new thing I want to do in this video, in these type of videos, is a recommendation, and I feel like this is needed to enjoy the show more, because to me, I do recommend watching Ahsoka if you have watched the Clone Wars and Rebels, also assuming you've watched the prequels as well. This is because I feel like people won't appreciate these characters as much since they're pretty much built on the Clone Wars and Rebels, and I think based on the Ahsoka show alone, I don't think they did a good enough job on introducing them. I especially think that people won't care enough about Ezra since he was shown very little at the beginning, so I feel like people who haven't watched the cartoons or Rebels won't realize just how big seeing Ezra is. So yeah, um, I recommend you watch it if you have watched those, but also I do recommend it for its world building. I feel like it continues the magical side, like I said before, of Star Wars with the Night Sisters and with Balin and the Mortis gods. It just feels like they're continuing to expand that side of Star Wars, and it's how I felt when they did the Mortis arc back then in the Clone Wars. So yeah, finally though, it also just feels like Star Wars to me. The last time Star Wars greatly felt like Star Wars to me was The Mandalorian Season 2 and Tales of the Jedi, and there were also just a bunch of other shows that didn't feel like Star Wars to me. So, yeah, the Ahsoka show felt like Star Wars to me, and I think it is the strongest at feeling like it. But I will say the fighting and some of the writing does take away points from it feeling exactly like Star Wars to me. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts on the Ahsoka show, and now I turn it over to you guys. What do you guys think of the Ahsoka show? Do you like it or dislike it? Love it or hate it? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I feel like Ahsoka is the last Star Wars show that I will like a lot, maybe until we see Dave Filoni's movie, or maybe the next season of The Mandalorian or whatnot. But yeah, I feel like afterwards, the shows might be on the same level as the Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi, which I didn't like too much, but I do have hope for the Acolyte. I think that might be potentially be very good and explores another era of Star Wars, which is the High Republic, and I don't know much about it, but I am looking forward to see what makes that different than the prequel Republic. I just know that the High Republic is when the Jedi Order were at their prime. But anyways, I'm talking too long, so I'll end it here. That'll be it for now, guys. That's game.